Sometimes hearing the doubts of others rattles me. And so when I'm doubting, even though I want the support of others, I wonder if I should just keep it to myself. I don't want my doubt to make someone else feel the way I do, but I don't know if keeping quiet is the right impulse. In my experience, the fear and shame of doubt is enough to silence many doubters, and so I don't think we should give doubters another thing to worry about without first taking a serious look at the issue. So let's do that. Will expressing doubt harm others? When should we share our doubt or not? And how contagious is doubt? Okay. I think we need to start with an uncomfortable fact that kind of works against where I want to go with this video, but to try and dance around it would feel shifty. Expressing our doubts will sometimes cause other people to doubt. In Bible college, my philosophy professor stood in front of the class and said, if you haven't had doubts about your faith, you will. Something about the way he said that really scared me, and all the dormant questions I had been pushing down began to surface all at once because I had some doubts. And over that semester of coursework, they really intensified. While home that summer, I saw a friend in church who excitedly asked me, "How's Bible college? It's probably the best, right?" And out of a doubtful heart, I said, "Actually, it's really hard, and it's producing a lot more doubts than faith right now." And I watched as he looked at me with horror. And then he did something odd. He started listing reasons why he should keep believing. Like what I had said rattled him and shaken some of his own doubts loose. He was talking like he was trying to convince himself. I don't like that story. It gives me a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. So is a story like that a good enough reason to make a rule? When doubting, keep it to yourself. Despite how much I dislike that story, I don't think it is. There's something I really want to show you that changed how I think about the contagiousness of doubt. It's a quote from Tim Keller that I actually keep on my bulletin board. It reads, "A faith without some doubts is like a human body without any antibodies in it. A person's faith can collapse almost overnight if she has failed over the years to listen patiently to her own doubts, which should only be discarded after long reflection." I think Keller's illustration can be expanded on in a lot of ways. A common cold is not dangerous to most people. If you have a strong immune system, it might just give you a sniffly nose for a couple of days. But for those with a compromised immune system, it can be really dangerous. Now, I can't speak for my friend, but when I reflect on my Bible college story, I realized that my belief system was a lot more fragile than I realized. The mere suggestion of doubt was enough to make me doubt. And I wasn't able to engage difficult questions or different perspectives without sliding into crisis. So yeah, doubts can be contagious, but that doesn't mean that expressing doubt is inherently dangerous and destructive. How it's received and the severity of the reaction has so much to do with the state of the individual's belief system. In my case, I didn't need to be totally isolated from doubts and questions. What I needed most was to develop a faith that could handle some doubts. So how do we do that? Keller gives a clue to what he thinks a few words later. Believers should acknowledge and wrestle with doubts, not only their own, but their friends and neighbors. When discussing a community's culture, I like to start with the leaders because of the influence they have. Many leaders model bold, energetic, certain faith. I think the certainty that leaders may give off when teaching the scriptures gives the impression that they perfectly believe and live out everything they're teaching. But a never-doubting leader isn't realistic. I've sat in rooms with pastors who have quietly expressed doubts while also feeling they could never express those doubts to their own church. But listen, pastors don't have special elite-level doubts. They're just normal Christians, and it's normal for Christians to doubt sometimes. And so to never acknowledge doubt presents a caricature of following Jesus that fails to engage with the normal complexities of faith. Through the persona of a never-doubting leader, the idea of a never-doubting Christian becomes its own contagious idea. It's normal to look at the leader and think, I guess I should be like that. But here's the thing. Christians will have doubts whether we talk about it or not. It's not like the only way to start doubting is to hear about other people's doubts. We can come up with doubts all on our own. So do we need a never doubting leader or something else? I literally just saw a new study from the Barna Group. They wrote, "Our research finds that people think it's more important for a pastor to be honest about their doubts than certain about their beliefs. They'd rather have someone who can relate to them as they process their own questions and uncertainties." And when I did an informal survey of all of you, for the most part, we agreed. Those who are ready to be honest about doubt want to talk about it, and they want to be ministered to and supported through it. So what could that look like? For the last year or so, I've been talking about how churches need to hold this tension: honest about doubt, but still hopeful about faith. Having leaders acknowledge doubt and how they navigate it, and making space for people to ask their challenging questions, or be mad at God, or believe in the existence of God but question the Bible, or to discuss doubt without having a nice conclusion. It's uncomfortable, and it requires effort and love and wisdom, but it meets people where they're at, like Christ did. And it sincerely engages with the complexities of life with Christ. To take Keller's illustration of an immune system further, holding an honest but hopeful tension can act like a vaccine, an intentional introduction of something so that we can learn to healthily receive it, process it, and respond to it. We give vaccines to strengthen our immune system, and creating a church that is honest about doubt but hopeful about faith can strengthen our belief system. But listen, because there's something you really need to hear. Illustrations about contagiousness and immune systems and vaccines, they're really helpful in clarifying concepts about doubt. But just so I'm perfectly clear, these are illustrations. If you're doubting, you don't actually have an infectious disease. Okay? I just wanted to say that explicitly in case no one has said that to you. Okay, that being said, I believe having healthy churches is the primary way to address the contagiousness of doubt. But I don't think it's the responsibility of those who are currently doubting and feeling most vulnerable to also create the community that could support them. So if you're currently doubting and worried it'll be contagious, let's talk practically about what you can do. I think it's really gracious to recognize that our doubts can unsettle people and hope not to do that. So if we want to be cautious, who can handle our doubts? Is it just those who have already had serious doubts? That seems like an intuitive choice, and it might be a good one, but people can surprise us. Kat Wordsworth, author of Let's Talk About Doubt, writes, "With some people, I tell myself I can't talk to them about my deepest thoughts because I don't want to infect them with my doubt. They're too pure, too unburdened. It would ruin them to even consider the things I think about." What a judgment of their faith. I like this quote because it takes the focus off of who's doubting and who's not, as though there are two types of Christians whose conversations can't mix. We would be wrong to assume that Christians who aren't doubting are too weak to handle doubts, because anyone who is mature enough to engage with the complex and nuanced nature of following Christ isn't going to be rattled by the complex and nuanced nature of your doubt. And of course, that kind of maturity can come from journeying through doubt, but there are other paths as well. Whatever the case, mature Christians will be willing and able to journey with you through doubt. So seek out those people. If you want to dive deeper into avoiding unhealthy places to express doubt and identifying safe, healthy people to express doubt to, you should watch this video right here. It's also linked in the description below. I'll see you over there.